Hello, and welcome back to Straight from the Muzzle, where we're anything but straight, but it's not an actual episode. This is more or less an update for season 9, which is coming up. I do want to let you know, yes, we are coming back, and our projected release is for February 17th, 2023. For some reason, I put 22 in my notes. So we are going to be coming back. We do have a few new ideas of what we want to do this year. We have a couple of topics we'd like to go over, and we'd like to change things up a bit. Not too much though, just a little bit. Recently, we've never really taken like a 2.5 month break before. We usually take like maybe a 1 or 1.5, but I think we really needed it. Coming around with Christmas and then of course into January, 2 really busy months because you're preparing for the holidays and there's so much going on. And then you have, January, which everything is kind of settled, but then, the craziness kind of starts up again and there's things that are going on. So over Christmas, I got really sick with the flu and I had asthma exacerbation and then I had to go to the ER. That was a fun experience. And you'll get to hear all about it in one of the new episodes. It's going to be episode 1 of season 9, where we talk about resolutions, and it's Boomy and I talking back and forth. And you can constantly hear me go, like that, because you'd have to listen to the episode, which you won't get to hear for a couple of weeks, but I can tell you it's fun. And I have a link to a YouTube video that you're going to watch and you're going to be like, okay, this totally makes sense now. I know that Sparrow and her partner finally got their own apartment, and so did Boomy and her partner. And then I know Ruby has taken a step back, not from the podcast, just in general in life. So a lot's been going on since December and into January. And, I also kind of got burnout, not from the podcast, but just like from work. And when you get burnout from work, it just kind of kills every little bit of excitement, happiness that you want to do, because you just don't want to do anything. And I was kind of like that, like first couple weeks of January. And then I thought, okay, well, I probably need to get back into the routine of recording episodes, writing notes, getting things situated. So that way it starts to feel normal for me again. It's always hard to get like a new season started because you're trying to do new ideas and new episodes that you haven't really done, or we're doing episodes from like other episodes we would have done years ago and try to do like an update or, have things changed since then. And so it's always kind of like really rushed towards the end, but I kind of like that though. That's just kind of like how I work. I work really well under pressure. So, and I like the pressure, under pressure, do. Anyways, so that's kind of like a little life update for you guys. We do have some ideas for this upcoming season. And generally when it comes to like episodes and stuff, we try to at least record up to about 2 or 3 episodes ahead of the last one that we posted. So we always have something ready to go. And then sometimes we actually record episodes on the fly that need to be edited in a couple of days to be posted that following Friday. So, like everything's interchangeable when we do like our process, which is really interesting because I'll be like, no, I'm going to move this episode down. We're going to put this other episode in front of it because it's more relevant and we need to talk about it now. And it's kind of like an interesting process. But yes, we are coming back. I just want to make sure you all know that. And of course, I'm talking to you now, so you get to hear something instead of having to wait more weeks. We'll make an update on Twitter, but really no one pays attention. I don't know, people have just jumped ship from Twitter because, Elon Musk. God, I just can't stand that guy. And I got involved with Twitter, so I don't know if people have just jumped ship or they went to something called Mastodon, which in my opinion, Mastodon totally sounds like a sexual fetish kink, It's just the word Mastodon. That's what it feels like to me. But I went and I tried to like set one up, and I just sat there and I'm like, I don't really like this site. I don't really see a purpose for it. Maybe it needs more work. I'm used to like seeing like sites like Twitter and Facebook that are already set to go and they have features and all this stuff and, Instagram and all that fun jazz. But I didn't really get that from Mastodon. So I just like, I'll just say I created one, but I'm probably never going to use it. So I'm more likely to use like furrynetwork.com or any other like furry spin-off of like a social site. I'll try those before I actually like settle down and say, yes, Mastodon. So yeah. Anyways, so some ideas that we had for this year is that Dear Dog would like to do a live episode where she draws things suggested by those in chat. And that, in this case, it would be like a Discord chat. And we were also thinking of doing drawing lessons as well. So essentially, like with the live episode, you would be seeing her screen. And then, of course, we would be talking back and forth, interacting with the chat. And this is what we used to do back when we did For Media on YouTube, which we still have that YouTube channel. If you ever want to watch older videos that we did where we had like live content or things of that matter, you can go back and watch those. And in fact, I will link that in this update below so that you guys have an opportunity to go and check those out. That was interesting because I went from having myself to then having a host to having a different host. And it just like never really, stuck with me host wise until Sparrow came along. And then, she and I just rocked it hardcore and we had a really fun time. So you can definitely watch those. Those are fun. And I thought about maybe redoing those episodes as actual episodes on this podcast, just because opinions and points of view definitely have changed since then. So anyways, we want to do a live episode where she draws things, where I'm talking with you guys. Well, also, I want to do an episode like series called You Teach, I Draw, which basically would be Dear Dog teaching us how to draw in one screen. And in another, you see my screen where I'm attempting to draw what she's teaching. And then, kind of play off of that, maybe have it live as well. So people can kind of go in there and be like, oh my God, he's an awful artist. And I'd be like, I know. So that's one option. Another idea that I had was having you, the fan, the follower, the friend, and I'm not sure what to really call you. At this point, I think I just say listeners because it covers all of it. But I'm like, some people are fans, but some people are friends. And some people are just followers. They just kind of follow. But anyways, what I want to try doing is having you, the listener, on as a co-host as we have guests or topics of interest that you suggest. So for instance, if someone said, I want to have Uncle Kage on as a guest, can you do that? Well, then I would go and I reach out to Uncle Kage. You all know how I feel about him because I call him Uncle Cage, but I would be willing to do it because it's something you suggested. I go out, I'd ask them, hey, would you be interested? If they say yes, amazing. And then I kind of go over what an episode of interviews would entail. But then what I'd like to do is have that individual who suggested that to come on and be a co-host with us. So it'd be Sparrow, myself, and then the listener, or it might be just myself and the listener, and giving you the opportunity to ask questions that you've always wanted to ask. I think what I want to do this season and going forward is I really want to be involved in our little community that we have, our little podcast community. And, we've tried doing that in the past, but I really want to get into that this year because that's really important for me, is to be kind of like more in touch and in tune with you guys, because essentially you guys are the ones that pretty much tell us what you want us to do, or we get inspired off of emails that you've sent us. And then we go off those inspirations become episodes, and it's really fun. It's a whole different thing. So I would love to have that person as a guest. Now, it also depends on how old they are, because if you're like 16, 17, sure, I'll let it fly. If you're under that age, we'll just take the questions that you have, work it into our interview, and then give you credit for the questions that you gave us. Reason being, because age, it's a really gray area of like rules and boundaries. And I'm just, not really comfortable having super young people onto our show. So it's just, it's just kind of like how I want to do. I just want to make sure everything's like good to go. One other thing I do want to do is I want to share your opinion on every episode that we do, whether it's a topic that we're discussing or it's just something like a fun question that you have, or maybe something that you like about the podcast and what it's done for you in your life. What I want to do is when we initially do the episode, we'll either do that little bit at the beginning or at the end. And that way we give you guys credit, but then you also kind of get a, little shout out as well. So something fun that I think would be fun to do. And then, of course, we always need more feedback from our listeners. So whether it's on Twitter, which mostly is what we use to communicate, and then there's Telegram as well. If we ask questions on Twitter, try to pay attention to those because we're often asking you what you want us to go over, what you want us to talk about, what guests you want us to have. The more that we have as far as comments and responses are, the better chance we have of actually creating content based off of that for you. If we don't get anything, then we kind of just, have to like shoot in the dark. We have to go out there and kind of see, okay, this might be a good idea. Oh, this might be a good episode. But really, I want to get episodes that you want to listen to because that tells me you're interested. If I just do episodes, it's kind of like, yeah, this might get a couple of views or this might get a lot of views. I'm not quite sure because I'm not getting quite enough feedback from it. So feedback in the form of tweets or even emails. Yes, I get your emails. And let me just go over that real quick. I know that there have been like at least 20 or so emails been coming in over Christmas and into January. And then also, of course, into February. It's the 2nd that I'm recording this. And I feel bad because I do read them, but I just never respond back to them. Probably because I just was really busy at that time. I recently switched over to a new team at work. They actually split us up, which was a total I hate saying this, but I'm going to go ahead and use my swear word. It was a total shit show, basically. And, we had to think on our feet and everything's starting to get better now, but I was just so busy. And when I got home, I was just like, I don't want to do anything, but I'd see these emails coming in. So I just want to let you know, I am doing a Spaced Out episode. I am going to answer all the questions and or read all your emails that you've sent, and that will be posted in the weeks to come. So that way you guys have that, and then I can kind of just get caught up. So more feedback from you guys. You can email us. You can send us a message, which by the way, yes, I have resurrected SpeakPipe. So now you guys can send us 90-second voicemails. So if you just want to send us something fun in about a minute and a half worth of recording time, go for it. And then what I can do is I can take that little MP3 bit and I can have our editor stick it into the episode. So it's really, fun and unique. So before we let go, I do have a couple of episodes I do need help with. These are things that really do require participation from you all. Now, like I said, I can tweet out like saying, hey, we have an episode that we want to do. What are your opinions? But the chances of you guys actually responding back to that is slim to none. I'm just being straightforward with you guys. So I think it's easier, a lot better just to do like an update like this where it reaches you, the listener, a lot quicker. So I find that a lot better. So the first one that we want to do is young furries. Now, young furries has been suggested to us, shocker, not shocking, or shocker and no shocker here, for a couple of years. But it's one that I've been toying with, being like, how would I do this without overstepping a boundary, having adolescents or minors on the show? Would I need to have, permission slips or consent forms? I just kind of wasn't sure how I wanted to do this. So basically, the best way that I can think of doing this, the legal way, is to either have you A, send us an email about your experience of being a young furry, or B, send us a 90-second voice message, which is basically 1 minute and 30 seconds of a quick summary of what your opinion of the fandom is from your perspective because you're a younger furry. So those are your two options. In both options, we want to make sure that you give us your furry name and your age and then your country of origin. So if you live in the United States, just say the United States. If you live in, Europe, then say what country in Europe you're from. That's about it. I don't want to go any more into details just because I don't want people saying, oh, I'm from, blank, Salt Lake City, Utah. I mean, I am essentially from Salt Lake City, Utah, but, it's a pretty big county and city, so I don't really care. But I don't want like minors to give all that information out over, the internet. So just very basic information. Make sure to give us your furry name, your age, and where you come from in the world. So only your country of origin. In your email or your online voice recording, tell us your perspective of the furry fandom as being someone who's a young furry. What are your positive experiences, your negative experiences? What do you like? What you don't like? Things of that nature. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to share that on the episode itself. We can take up to about 30 recordings from people. And I figure if people did 30 recordings, I think that adds up to like 27 or 30 minutes of content. That's if everyone sends us a message. But, you can also send us emails too, and we'll do that as well. So we'll do reading of emails, talk about something, and then a couple more reading of emails to kind of just keep it going. So if you're interested, if you're a young furry and you want to share your experience or your point of view, send us an email at talktothemuzzle@gmail.com or go to speakpipe.com/speak to the muzzle. And don't worry, that contact information for our email and that link to our SpeakPipe, which is our recording site for you to send us a message will be linked in the announcement below. So you don't have to worry about, oh my God, I didn't get the website. I got to rewind and listen again. No, it's all down there for you. Another episode that we're going to be doing, it's not whether of if, we are going to be doing an episode about the Australian kids show Bluey. So everyone pretty much loves the show. I love watching it. My husband loves watching it. My staff loves watching it. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to kind of get an idea of what you like about Bluey. Have you learned anything from it? Have you made any like connections that you feel, was personal or, something of that matter? We want to know. So tell us your Bluey experience, basically. And again, you can either email us at talktothemuzzle, or you can send us a 1 minute and 30-second voice message through SpeakPipe, which is speakpipe.com/speaktothemuzzle. Don't worry, I won't repeat this over and over again. Just doing it for the first couple of times. Another episode that we're going to be doing is we have a guest that has agreed to come onto our show. I believe their name is either Yiv or Ivy. It's YVE, but they are a puppeteer and a stop motion artist. And it's something we have never had on our show before. So if you guys have any questions about puppeteering or stop motion art, please send us your emails or your recordings so that way we can put that into the show and we can ask the guest. So that way we can get answers for your questions. And then lastly, an episode that I would really like to do is called Career Day. And I tried to do this once before, but nothing came of it. That's when it was like the days of for media. So what I want to do is basically I want to know what you do in real life, whether it's working at a grocery store, being a banker, or even being like a scientist or whatever you do. Maybe you got a PhD and you're a professor and you teach stuff. I want to know. So tell us your stories. They could be both good, bad, funny, maybe a scary experience that you had from it. Any of that jazz. So, even if you work at like a Shake Shack or whatever, or you're a server, or maybe you just pick up trash, tell us about it. You don't have to specifically tell us where you work or who you work for, but if, you really want to, say like, I work at Dairy Queen and I do this, tell us. It'd be so much fun. I want to know what people do as far as work goes, because work is really interesting. I have definitely got stories from like my past work experiences, which I will be sharing. So if you have past work experiences and not something for current job now, please share. We have to have it. And again, you'll just email us or send us a very short 90-second recording. Now, why it's 90 seconds or a minute 30 is because it's free. If I wanted the 5-minute one, which is weird, because if I go to the site, let me go back to SpeakPipe here real quick. Okay, so the free plan basically gives us 30 messages per month, 90 seconds of max duration, one widget, which we don't have a website, so no big deal. And that's free. But then the gold plan ups it where a max recording duration can be 5 minutes. Now, I don't know if it lets me customize and say, okay, I want to stop it at 2 minutes, or if it's just you can record up to 5 minutes and that's it, which is a little crazy because then we'd have to listen to 5 minutes worth of content, which sometimes is a lot of dead air or a lot of ums, ifs, ands, or whats. So that one's like $12 a month. And then the premium one lets you record up to 10 minutes, which can you just imagine? It'd be like 5 messages and that would be the whole episode. So there's different little things. I'm just going with the free plan right now because I pay a lot for the podcast to stay and do what it does to be available for you guys. So anyways, I think that's it. Those are the episodes that we need participation in. So Young Furries, Bluey, the guest for Yiv or Ivy, and then Career Day. These do not have specific dates for release. Reason being is because I need your input. The more input I have, the more likely I can start recording or creating notes for that episode. So as you can see, I'm asking you. Anyways, that was fun. I took for a little bit. It's kind of like a mini episode. So it's not all a loss here. I'm really glad I was able to do this. And if you guys ever have any questions, again, you can email us or you can voice message us, or you can even go onto our Telegram group. We do have a group. Join the chat and then find us and send me a message if you want to. I'm totally open for it. So anyways, thanks for listening to me babble about pretty much a lot of stuff. And you guys have yourself a spectacular day.